I don't know why I'm recording this voiceover right now, but I felt like after about the 30th review I've seen recently of Batman Returns, the 1992 Tim Burton movie starring Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito, and Michelle Pfeiffer, it seems like everybody and their mother who thinks that there's some kind of great sleuth or something like that looking up plot holes always can't wrap their head, just can never wrap their head around the fact that the Penguin has in his possession plans for the Batmobile, the actual blueprints for the Batmobile. And those blueprints are used as a component of one of the Penguin's schemes throughout the movie. Where did he get these blueprints for? They are, in fact, accurate. We know they are because his henchmen are able to use the blueprints to get around the Batmobile's security defenses and later override the Batmobile's command structures. So we know the plans are certainly accurate. They're not fake. So how did he get them? And everybody's like, plot hole, plot hole, plot hole. But is it? Is it really a plot hole? Is it really hard to try to at least wrap your head around some way that the Penguin could have gotten his hands on the Batmobile's plans? I think the first time I ever heard this plot hole brought up, or this potential plot hole brought up, was probably by Kevin Smith. Back in, I think it was 2000 or 2001, he had published his Blunt Man and Chronic graphic novel. And during in the which he had written it himself. I don't remember who did the artwork, but Kevin Smith had written the Blunt Man and Chronic graphic novel, and it included a couple of sequences that he would later use that later got cut from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. So some of the stuff that Kevin has written for graphic novels has ended up in his movies. But one of the things particular that was brought up was the fact of how the heck did the Penguin get the plans for the Batmobile in Batman Returns. And that was I don't know if anybody had said it before Kevin Smith had, at least on the internet or in public, but that was, for me, the first time, and I was one of the first people to read that graphic novel back when it was first published. That was, for me, one of, the first time that I had heard somebody bring this up as a plot hole. And when I read it, I thought, yeah, that is funny, Kevin. That you're right. I never thought about it. I personally never really liked Batman Returns that much as a movie myself. But as the years progress, everybody, especially these people who watch Cinema Sins and stuff like that, everybody's trying to jump on, well, this is a plot hole, and that's a plot hole, and this is a plot hole, and that's a plot hole, and everybody's basically trying to play amateur detective, and they've been repeating this in their reviews of Batman Returns. Well, that ends now, because I can actually explain, and I'm going to explain, how the Penguin got his hands on the Batmobile's plans. First off, let's acknowledge that plans for the Batmobile will exist in any universe. The Batman isn't going to just build a car off the top of his head from scratch. Especially a car that's going to have, nuclear power perhaps, a jet engine, turbines, machine guns, deployable armor. Something that's basically far beyond what you can get at your local dealer. So obviously, it's reasonable and logical to assume that there would be plans for the Batmobile, but that Bruce Wayne would have to draw plans for one before he assembled it. It basically is a baseline for the assembly of the car. So the fact that plans for the Batmobile exist in the first place in Batman Returns is completely plausible. What takes a bit more of a leap of logic is how the heck could the Penguin have gotten his hands on them and been able to figure them out, basically? Well, as we can see early on, and by the time Batman Returns is happening, this is after the events of the first 1989 Batman movie. So those two movies are in continuity with each other. Batman, the Jack Nicholson, Tim Burton directed Jack Nicholson, Michael Keaton Batman movie is clearly in continuity. It's referenced several times. It is a direct sequel. Everybody acknowledges that that Batman Returns is a direct sequel to the 1989 Batman movie. So basically those events have made it clear, okay, this Batman has already proven himself by defeating the Joker. You can see clearly, especially in the very beginning of the movie, that Batman himself is on very good terms with the police. You see the police in the very beginning of Batman Returns flashing the bat signal. The bat signal is already automated in Bruce Wayne's house. Thankfully, nobody has noticed it. But, so there is some type of bat signal detection system built into Wayne Manor by this point. And the police are more than happy to congratulate Batman on a job well done throughout the movie. In fact, even after Gordon, even after the Penguin starts trying to frame Batman for possible crimes that the Penguin is committing, Gordon is actually willing to go to bat for Batman and defend him and say this is just circumstantial. We found a bat. He isn't saying string him up. He's saying we found a bat orang, which could have the Ice Princess's blood on it, but this is purely circumstantial, basically inferring that someone likely could have stolen one of the batarangs and planted it. So the police and Batman were on very good terms at the beginning of this movie. They had the bat signal. It is possible, at least this is my reading on it, that in order to basically have or facilitate this type of goodwill between Batman and the people of Gotham and the police, I could easily assume that Batman could have provided the plans for his car to the city, basically to make his car street legal. Batman doesn't exactly drive around with a license or a license plate on his car. He's Batman. But you never see his car ticketed or towed. It's illegal to drive a car on any road in the United States. And Batman operates in the United States. Gotham City's in the United States. Unless you have proper registrations and proper permitting. Now, in most cases, we know what cars are available on the roads based on their make and models. That kind of information about the capabilities of these cars is usually disclosed by the manufacturers. But the Batmobile is unique. It's one of a kind. So it is possible that during the permitting process for the Batmobile, to allow the Batmobile onto Gotham roads without it being hassled and constantly ticketed, that as part of the permitting process, Batman could have provided the plans to, whoever it is, the DMV or something like that. Okay, so that's basically how the plans for the Batmobile could have ended up outside of Batman's hands, basically. He could have provided a copy of the blueprints to the people of Gotham City, whether it be the GCPD, the DMV, the Hall of, basically the City Hall. Somebody in the government could have had access to the Batmobile plans as a gesture of goodwill on Batman's part. So how did the Penguin get it? Well, we know for a fact that the Penguin had been doing a lot of research in the Hall of Records as part of his plan A, basically, to kill all the firstborn sons of Gotham City. It is possible that during his search, which was in private under heavy guard to prevent people from watching what he was doing, that the Penguin could have obtained a copy of the Batmobile plans either illegally or just underhandedly. Maybe somebody working for Hall of Records, or maybe somebody worked for Max Schreck or something like that, could have provided him the plan or a copy of the plans or the plans themselves to a person who was at the time running for mayor. So if you're running for mayor, you're probably going to be provided something. Granted, this was probably going to be like in a recall election or something like that, but he was considered a legitimate candidate in his time running. He had supporters. So it's possible that, he could have been privy to briefings about what was going on in Gotham City at the time And part of that could have been, well, we have Batman. Batman is going to be an issue. This is all we know about him, and as part of that, here are the plans for the Batmobile. So there are plenty of possibilities under which Penguin, either through legitimate legal reasons or through illegal reasons, could have gotten his hands on those plans. He either could have gotten it because he stole it during his trip to the Hall of Records, or he could have been given them as part of a briefing about what's going on in Gotham City for his potential mayoral campaign. It just makes sense that he would have it in that way. And that's probably how it had to have been one of those methods. I'm sure there could have been, with a bit more imagination, I'm sure some people have probably thought up others, but those are just two that came to the top of my head. So I want to hear what you think about this. Post a comment about if you think that, that either of these are buckus. I don't think that they are. I think that they both could be legitimately, I don't think either of them could be easily dismissed. So thanks for listening. Until next time, guys, my name is Maniac. I am not Batman. Please visit my website, gameaccess.net. Until next time, take care. Over and out.